7 consortia, 1 contract, and a procurement process that has taken 16 months and is still not finished. Reverse e-bidding, multiple deadline extensions, a last-minute change from 4-car to 3-car trains. Tender bonds extended in March 2026. Industry insiders openly describing the process as unprecedented. And yet, every major Malaysian rail contractor, plus the biggest Chinese rolling stock manufacturers in Southeast Asia, plus Hyundai Rotem and Hitachi Rail, is still fighting for this contract. Why? Because Penang's Mutiara Line is not just a transit project. It is the backbone of an entire state's future. And the system's package, signaling, rolling stock, and track works, is worth up to RM 16.8 billion. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what is being built, why the procurement has been so turbulent, and the one strategic detail that will determine which of those 7 consortia wins. And it has nothing to do with the price of the trains. Let me start with context. Because to understand the Mutiara Line, you need to understand Penang. Penang is Malaysia's second most economically productive state, home to the world's largest concentration of semiconductor and electronics manufacturing. Companies like Intel, Bosch, Infineon, and hundreds of supply chain firms. Georgetown is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The island's population of 1.8 million generates GDP per capita among the highest in Malaysia. And for decades, Penang has had a chronic congestion problem. 2 bridges connect the island to the mainland. The Penang Bridge and the Second Penang Bridge. Both carry cars. There is no rail connection between the island and the mainland. The Mutiara Line changes that permanently. The line spans 29.67 kilometers. It begins at Silicon Island, Penang South Reclamation Island A, at the southern tip of the island, where a major tech and industrial development is underway. It runs northward along the eastern coast of Penang, G Island through 20 stations, terminating at Komtar, the iconic tower at the heart of Georgetown. And then, in the most dramatic addition to the project, it extends across the Penang Strait via a 6-kilometer sea-crossing bridge to Penang Central on the mainland, a journey that takes 8 minutes by rail, the same crossing that takes 30 minutes by car on a good day. The client is Malaysia Rapid Transit Corporation. MRT Corporation construction of the civil and structural works began on January 11, 2025, groundbreaking officiated by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Operation scheduled for December 2031. 750 VDC electrification. Elevated viaduct throughout. No underground sections. Operating speed 70 kilometers per hour. 2 depots, Silicon Island and Sungai Nibong. The Mutiara Line is being delivered in 3 distinct packages. Understanding this structure is critical for anyone positioning for this project. Package 1. Civil and Structural Works, Segment 1. PSRA Silicon Island to Komtar, 23.67 kilometers. Already awarded to SRS Consortium, led by Gamuda Berhad, at a contract value of RM 7.9 billion. This covers all viaduct construction, station structures, pier works, and the foundations for the sea-crossing bridge. Construction is actively underway. Pier works visible at 14 locations across the island as of June 2026. Package 2, Civil and Structural Works, Segment 2. The McCallum to Penang Central Cross Sea Extension, 6 kilometers, including the 3.05-kilometer marine viaduct crossing the Penang Strait, with 2 main navigation spans of 450 meters each, designed to allow large vessels to pass beneath. This package includes the controversial new sea crossing addition confirmed by PM Anwar Ibrahim in late 2025. Public inspection, completed May 2026. Tender process to follow. Package 3, Systems Turnkey Contract. This is the live procurement, design and build of all railway systems across the full 29.5 kilometers, signaling, rolling stock, track works. This is where the 7 consortium battle is happening right now. Let me tell you about the procurement, because this story is genuinely unusual, and understanding it is essential for any supplier or investor tracking this project. The system's turnkey contract was first tendered in December 2024. Tender close was set for April 14, 2025. It eventually closed in June 2025, with 7 consortia submitting bids. So far, standard. Then, revision started. MRT Corp issued clarifications through the summer of 2025. Local content requirements for rolling stock were changed. A proposal for a local train assembly facility was added. And in August 2025, ahead of final close, an addendum revised the rolling stock configuration from 4-car train sets to 3-car train sets. That single change forced every bidder to rework their rolling stock specification and pricing. By March 2026, MRT Corp extended the validity of tender bonds. The industry expected shortlisting and final negotiations. Instead, in April 2026, MRT Corp announced a reverse e-bidding exercise. Reverse e-bidding, where all 7 consortia are invited to progressively lower their prices in a real-time electronic auction, is not how major rail systems contracts are typically awarded in Malaysia. Industry sources describe the decision as unprecedented. Bidders who had spent 16 months preparing submissions found themselves in a live price competition. MRT Corp stated rationale: to establish the most competitive bid price. And they were explicit: the lowest price is not necessarily the winning bid. Technical quality, local content, and a local assembly commitment all remain evaluation factors. The Mutiara Line Pacific joint venture had submitted the lowest initial bid at RM 2.7 billion. Other bidders subsequently revised below RM 3 billion. The final award is expected in Q3 2026. Let me walk you through the competitive field. 7 consortia. 6 are Malaysian-led with Chinese technology partners. 1 is the exception: Gamuda BHD, Malaysia's most experienced metro rail contractor. Delivered the Klang Valley MRT Lines 1 and 2. Deep institutional knowledge of MRT core procurement. Already leading the civil SRS consortium. Gamuda's systems bid is expected to be technically strong. MMC Group, the outlier. No Chinese partnership. Instead, Hyundai Rotem of South Korea for rolling stock and Hitachi Rail of Japan for signaling. This is the only consortium offering non-Chinese technology. Their technical proposition, Hitachi's Celltrack CBTC plus Hyundai Rotem LRT vehicles, is proven across multiple APAC systems. White Hiel Group, the infrastructure and property conglomerate. Strong balance sheet, Malaysian government relationships, active in regional rail. MRCB, Malaysian Resources Corporation's strong MRT and LRT delivery track record. Klang Valley LRT, 3 among their reference. CES, WCT Holdings, Lion Pacific JV, submitted the lowest initial bid at RM 2.7 billion. Aggressive pricing strategy. Lion Pacific brings Chinese rolling stock supply chain access. Daya Maju, Berjaya Rail, infrastructure specialist with Chinese technology partnership. And a 7th consortium whose composition has not been publicly confirmed. The common thread for 6 of the 7, Chinese rolling stock and systems technology. The common question MRT Corp must answer: which Chinese partner has the most credible local assembly commitment for Malaysia? Before I get to the reveal, I want to highlight the engineering feature that makes the Mutiara Line genuinely unique in Southeast Asian rail history. The Sea Crossing, a 6-kilometer rail bridge across the Penang Strait. 3.05 kilometers of marine viaduct, coast to coast. 2 main navigation spans of 450 meters each. The bridge sits over 62 meters above sea level at the navigation spans, high enough for large commercial vessels to pass beneath. An emergency pedestrian walkway runs the length of the bridge for evacuation in case of incident. This is the northern region's first sea-crossing rail connection. In Southeast Asia, sea-crossing rail infrastructure is rare. The engineering challenges, marine pile foundations in the Penang Strait, tropical cyclone wind loading, salt environment corrosion protection for all electrical systems, marine vessel collision protection for the bridge piers, make this section the highest risk delivery component in the entire project. For the systems contractor, the sea crossing section creates specific challenges. How do you maintain traction power continuity across a 6 kilometers marine span? How do you protect CBTC radio communications over open water? These are not theoretical questions. They are real specifications that will define the technical submission. Let me give you the strategic read. For the winning systems consortium, this is the defining rail contract in Malaysia for this decade. The Mutiara Line is the first major LRT project in northern Malaysia. It connects the country's most economically significant island to the mainland rail network. Winning this contract establishes a long-term operational foothold in Penang's transit ecosystem. For the supply chain, 750 VDC traction power, CBTC signaling, LRT rolling stock, platform screen doors, station electromechanical systems, HVAC, AFC, all procurement opportunities. MRT Corp has committed 40% of subcontracts to Mutiara companies. International suppliers partnering with established Malaysian firms have a structural pathway. For investors, Penang's transit ecosystem is expanding. The Mutiara Line is phase 1 of the Penang Transport Master Plan. Future phases include additional LRT lines on the mainland. The operator of the Mutiara Line will have first-mover advantage in the broader PEMP network. And for consultants, Komtar, the northern terminus, sits on the edge of the Georgetown UNESCO World Heritage Site buffer zone. Station design and urban realm work at that location carries exceptional heritage sensitivity requirements. That creates a specialized advisory and design opportunity. I promised you the one strategic detail that will determine who wins, and it has nothing to do with the price of the trains. It is the local assembly commitment. Here's why. MRT core requirements for the system's turnkey contract include a proposal for a local train assembly facility in Malaysia. This is not a suggestion. It is a scored evaluation criterion. The consortium that can credibly commit to assembling rolling stock in Malaysia, creating jobs, developing local industrial capability, and building a supply chain that serves future Malaysian rail projects, has a structural scoring advantage that no price reduction in a reverse e-bidding exercise can fully offset. This is why 6 of the 7 consortia have Chinese technology partners. Chinese rolling stock manufacturers, CRRC, CRRC's joint venture network, and others, have the manufacturing scalability to establish local assembly in Malaysia at commercially viable volumes. A European or Japanese OEM producing G at lower volumes faces a more difficult economics case for local assembly. The exception is MMC with Hyundai Rotem. Hyundai Rotem has established assembly operations in multiple markets. Their local assembly case for Malaysia is possible, but less precedent than the Chinese model. The winning bid will not be the cheapest bid. It will be the bid that best combines competitive price with the most credible local industrial development story. In Malaysia's rail market in 2026, those two things together are what win contracts. Here's what you do. 1. Follow MRT Corp, mymrt.com.my, for the contract award announcement expected in Q3 2026. 2. If you are a systems or equipment supplier positioning for subcontract opportunities, the SRS Civil Consortium is actively building its supply chain, and the winning systems contractor will need local Malaysian partners for AFC, HVAC, station fit-out, and electromechanical works. 3. Subscribe to Rail Compass. Next Thursday, I go deep on the supplier map. every system category in the Mutiara Line STC scope, who globally supplies it, and how Malaysia's local content requirement shapes the competitive landscape. Penang Mutiara Line, the most contested rail systems contract in Southeast Asia right now. The decision is imminent.